I think we have to remember to lift each other up. I think we have to remember to take the time to just say, you did a good job. We don't do that enough for each other. We don't take that time. And you always think that somebody that's been in the industry for a long time doesn't need to know that, doesn't need to hear that. Everybody needs to hear that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Go in there. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
All right, we're here, ready for another episode, Adventures in Business Live.
Jazz hands, jazz
Yes,
hands,
yes, yes, yes,
February.
yes. Jazz Hands February, back in
Mhm.
our home locations this week. How we
Yes.
doing?
Amani, I'm doing awesome. I
All
uh
right.
I made a new recipe this weekend I had never made before. And I
Mm.
feel very empowered because it's the first time Scooter and I cooked in our kitchen together since we
Oh,
renovated it. And it
yes,
and we are so happy because like things make sense, when you're in a kitchen and you're like, I wish this was over here or this was over
yes,
here. And like
yes.
it makes sense. So he made his he makes pasta. So he made
Right.
some pasta and pesto. And then I made a chicken piccata. But at the very last minute, I decided to stuff the chicken with mortadella, provolone, and broccoli.
Ooh,
Last minute. It was a last minute thing and it turned out delicious. I was very
fancy.
proud, except I forgot to pull the toothpicks out. And now when I cut it, I'm like worried we're going to eat toothpicks, but that's, live and learn. This is the live and learn kind of moment.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it would be basics there. Yes,
Right?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
good.
have I have a follow-up question for you from our previous guest, Jenny Perrin.
Okay.
So I know on a previous interview you were talking about how you fly from Vegas to LA to teach once a week. And in your professor world, you're always trying to figure out how to eat healthy in that day. And our guest had challenged you to find a meal either at the airport or whatever. So like what did you do? What did you do?
Okay. So far I've traveled 2 of the 4 weeks. The other 2
Okay.
weeks have been virtual or because I've been traveling.
Okay.
I have not found a meal at the airport. Airport does not have good options.
Okay.
So I have to be continued with that one. I'll see tomorrow what happens, but so far no good.
Okay. Well, hey, we live and learn. We're figuring it out. You are trying a bar though that she told you about,
Yes.
right? What
She
was that?
told me about these bars here. They're called Roar bars. I like them. And so it helps. So this is good. This is better than the old. I used to do Bear Bells, but they were too much sugar. So this is much healthier. So yes, trying that out too. Yeah.
RAWR bar. Okay,
Okay.
last quick question for you.
Okay.
I
Yes.
feel like you had a book signing. You had something to do with your book this past week.
So this past week, I had a Black Author Expo event in Las Vegas. So book signing and panel discussion, and
Hmm.
then 2 days later, uh, I was in Cle Elum, which was right outside of Seattle for MPI Cascadia conference. So I spoke there twice and DJ the opening reception, and then I came home and rested. So yes,
Nice. That's
yes,
busy.
people love the music. They really
Yeah.
like the music when I'm keynoting. It's really really cool. And this time I added a story about Chaperone, which was really cool and that resonated. So
Yeah.
it was good because Chaperone, she first started like 2013 singing covers on YouTube, then got signed to a label, then got dropped after she released Pink Pony Club. They dropped her. Then she actually went home and started working at a coffee shop in the drive-through. Then she said, "I'll do one more chance in LA." Came back to LA, went independent, and then she got with another label. Then she had a first like an EP. Then she opened up for Olivia Rodrigo. That was a big moment for her. And then she had her album, won the Grammy, and just in November she passed 1 billion streams for Pink
What?
Pony Club, which is the song that the Atlantic Records dropped her for. So that just shows you resilience.
Resilience. Well, that is it. Well, your whole keynote is all about resilience. And I love how you bring all the music in. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, there's nobody better to do it than you because you're like literally a music historian. But
So yes.
But speaking of resilience,
Yeah.
we have
Okay.
a really
Good
resilient
segue.
human being with
Yes.
us today. So she's a mom, she's a leader. She's one of the best networkers and storytellers that I have ever interacted with. And you're about to see that live for yourself, Money.
Yeah.
She has held every sales role that's out there for Hyatt Hotels. She's earned Global Supplier of the Year more than once from her
Wow.
clients. And she's currently the Senior Global Sales Director for Hyatt Hotels. Welcome to the show, Melissa
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes. We'll give you a round of applause.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. A little jazz hands like Mandy.
Yes,
Yeah.
jazz hands.
Welcome to the show. We are excited to have you. I
Thanks,
grew
you
up near
guys.
Hyatt Hotels. I used to work down the street from a Hyatt for the Bethesda Marriott. We competed against the Bethesda Hyatt. I used to work downtown in DC. The Grand Hyatt was the big thing. They used to have good parties in the summer. So I'm very familiar with Hyatt Hotels. What is one thing
Yep.
that if we were looking at your LinkedIn, your resume,
I love that.
that we wouldn't know? Like, what's something that's not on your resume or your LinkedIn that would surprise people?
That would surprise people. Well, some people know this, very, very few. And my father was in radio, television, newspapers growing up.
Ooh.
And so I was the free entertainment. I was in commercials, I was on the TV, I was on the radio, because they needed to not pay somebody to do what they needed them to do. So, one of the things when I was really little, I was on the Mr. Peppermint show here in Dallas. I wore red and white stripe with other kids and was on that, been in Cotton Bowl parades, been on commercials and stuff like that. So my passion was not to go into hotels. It was to be a sports broadcaster. But
Oh,
it all changed around. So I ended up going into hotels, which I love. Had just great experience. And my dad knew some people with Hyatt. He did business with them. And they said the gentleman who it was Tim Lindgren, was longtime Hyatt guy. And Tim said, I'll get you an interview, but not the job. So I became a corporate trainee because I knew nothing about hotels. So, but I just like being around people. I think that was my biggest passion. I enjoy learning about people, and I ask a lot of questions. And for some reason, people tell me about themselves. So
okay.
that's nice. Yeah,
Take us back to the first day you walked into a Hyatt hotel. What was that like?
absolutely. Hyatt Regency San Antonio. It was right on the Riverwalk. We had a prime location. It was the hotel to be in. And I, like I said, didn't know anything about hotels. I pretty much knew where the swimming pool was, and that's about it when we would travel. So I really dove in and had to work every single department for 6 months, wear the uniform, do the stuff. And it was exciting, actually, honestly, because I was learning something new all the time. The hardest part was being in a hotel where most people are on vacation. So people having margaritas, chips and guac, walking down the river walk, they're all happy and you're working. That's the hardest part.
Yes.
But the best part about it was there was so many people that came in and out of that hotel. So I fell in love with the business, fell in love with the industry.
Love it. Over to you, Mandy. So many more questions to ask.
I know. I have so many. A couple just popped up now. So if you're watching or listening to the show right now and you have a question or a comment or a love letter for Melissa, pop it in the chat and we'll shout you out and read it out loud. But you just said something that I'm curious about. You had said, you were the free entertainment. You were in the Mr. Peppermint show. You wore the red and the white. Is there anything, and I'm like a recovering performer myself. So like, is there anything from that part of your life that you wish you could bring more out of now, or that you actually do bring more out of in your day-to-day work life?
Mandy, that's a really, really good question because I was a communication major in school. One thing I would tell anybody that's going into business that you're going to talk to people no matter what you're doing, if you're not sitting behind a desk and you've got to come up with topics and things, take some kind of communication or speech classes or something. I mean, we had to give our own eulogies. We had to talk in front of thousands of people. That none of that ever bothers me. But and I really don't get nervous about that. But I think it's because I was thrown into so many different situations. So that's why I always tell people, like, talk yourself through it. Be with a good friend. Be in a safe space when you have to do a presentation or anything you're doing, because if they can give you that criticism, you're not looking up enough, you're not doing eye contact, you're not, you know, being calm. Learn that. It's so hard for some people who have been around for a long time, but you're constantly going to give updates, presentations, and if you're in sales, you've got to sell with confidence. And
Yeah.
so you've got to be able to be confident with it. So yeah, I would say that I like the fact that I wasn't in the hotel business and then I could come into this business. But I use it every day. I use my communication every day in this job.
And you're so right about confidence. It's like, you know how dogs can tell a good person from a bad person, or they can smell fear?
Yep.
Humans can smell fear. Like they can smell when you're not confident, especially in sales. Like you want to, in that first 30 seconds, to deliver not overconfidence, but like confidence. So it's really smart. I really appreciate you giving people that warning of like, you don't have to love public speaking. You just have to be confident in how you're delivering that. Something that you do, I've been in a couple situations with you where I am just bedazzled by like where I've been in these circles with you where I watch you expand the circle from like 2 people to 4 people to 12 people. And you're making everybody feel included all at the same time without missing a beat. Like I literally, this just happened in December, and I was like, this woman is a genius. It was just you and I. And then it was like 4 people and 6 people. And now we have like 15 people around us. And you didn't miss a beat in the conversation, but you allowed everybody to be up to date. You're like, hey, here's what we're talking about. What do you think about this? So, what is your philosophy on networking in general? You do it so well, and it feels very natural to me. It did not feel forced. Like, what's your philosophy on networking?
Yeah. Thank you. I have always hated to go into a room or to be around people that somebody is monopolizing that conversation. I don't like that at all. And I think my inner person looks for the people who feel a little outside of that circle and to bring them in and make them feel more comfortable. If I'm on the phone with people, if I'm in a crowd, like you said, I really don't want anybody to feel like they're not part of it. And so I really listen to things. And I also think, like, let's say that I knew that you loved football and I knew Amani loved football, but you guys didn't know that. I connect it. I like connecting people with what makes them know each other. They say the 6 degrees of separation. We all really are. It just needs somebody to teach us how to connect everybody. And I think then it's a better conversation overall, right? It's not
Mhm.
just those 8 people listening to Mandy and Melissa talk, right?
Mhm.
It's everybody. So I've been in boardrooms where people have been talking, and I've honestly just literally turned to another person who's not talking, but I know they have something to say and said, Amani, what do you feel like? And I
Mm.
just cut it because I just want everybody. You can't be the expert on everything, and you got to want to learn from people too. It's, as my parents always told me, it's why you have one mouth and 2 ears, because you're supposed to listen 60 something percent of the time. So I just kind of take that with me. But thank you for noticing that. I
Well,
really didn't even think about that myself.
I was like, God, this is a masterclass. And you're modeling good behavior. I mean, I think you, like you said, you're like, I didn't even notice that. But I was sitting there and I was feeling the energy. I was like, we're all having a moment here, and it was more
No,
than just you and
yeah.
I. Like everybody was participating in those conversations. But it
Well,
was
you know what?
awesome.
One of my things that I do think of all the time is, and I say this a lot, and I said it to my kids all when they were growing up. I probably drove them crazy, but actions speak louder than words. And I don't think that you can either mentor or lead or do anything unless you were willing to do the work and put it in, and they know that you're going to back them up and you're going to do it. And so I literally say that all the time. Like, what did I say? And they're like, actions speak louder than words. And you know what? But I firmly believe that. I really do.
Yeah, you show
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Well, we got a shout out from you for the audience. Yolanda Redding says Melissa's a
Oh,
treasure. I would
I
not be
loved
where
her.
I am without her mentorship. So keep
Aw.
sharing the good words there.
Hi, Yolanda.
Trisha,
I love Yolanda.
yes, Trisha
I
Dillard.
love Yolanda, and I know exactly where she's talking about, and it's so funny because she reminded me of it when I went out to San Diego a couple of years ago. But you don't realize the people you touch and the people that it might be a moment, it might be this, and Yolanda has always been that person that she's takes those nuggets from people, and it's so smart. Like you don't want to be just like this person or just like this person, but take all those nuggets and then be the best you. But you have to be the real you. Like people can't try to be what Melissa does, but they can be part of what they do. And Yolanda is a master at that. She could do a master class on that for sure.
All right,
Aw,
there
thank
you go.
you.
Trisha Dillard says, agreed. Connecting people is Melissa's superpower.
Thanks,
Okay.
Trish. Kitty cat.
Well, I'm curious. As we think back to when you started your career to now, I'm always fascinated at how you view and how we view the different evolutions of technology. Based
Mhm.
on your experience, what's been maybe the two or three biggest technological advances that you've seen in our sales world in the hospitality hotel industry?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm old, so I have like I've
We
seen
Seasoned.
it
all
We
all.
like
are.
to call our people seasoned, not old. I tell my
Okay, I'm
students,
very
don't get
seasoned.
old.
Wise, wise.
Okay,
Yeah.
wise and seasoned. Yes. Well, I mean, honestly, like, look, when I was in the small selling role or at a one property, we had the carbon paper that was all different colors, and you had to make sure that the typewriter was hitting it hard enough that it went through all the copies. And then part of my job was to separate it into the boxes. So the chef got the yellows and the whoever got this, whatever. And even taking like phone calls, and you'd have to write down the message and put it in a little spinny thing, and then if you're the operator you pulled out all the messages and read them to people. The funny thing is that in one of the hotels I was in, our systems all went down. So now we had upgraded all the systems, everything was online, it was still the dial in, right? But it crashed. They had a hard time finding enough of us in the building that actually knew how to check someone in and get them into the building. The keys were a tough thing. I will tell you, the keys are the toughest, because you couldn't just hand them a key. And so if the
Yeah.
locks weren't working, they weren't getting in. Moving forward, really, I feel like what the computer system did, it didn't take away people in our buildings to do the operations, it just gave them different roles to do.
Right.
You still need the people to make sure that it's the people behind us. Hospitality industry, thank goodness, right?
Mhm.
But it allowed us to do it faster and quicker and smarter. So it allowed us to know what kind of revenue we needed in our hotels. It allowed us to tell our customers how much revenue they were spending on something and what their budget was. So that's where the computer system came through. Now it's good and bad. You have the ease of checking into a hotel without even talking to a front desk clerk.
Yeah. Yeah.
That front desk clerk can, that is your first stop to say, welcome to us. This is what we have. We're excited you're here, instead of just walking up to a kiosk. I think there's so many things in our lives now that have pulled away from people actually having conversations with other people. I love my children, but I do think that early 20s people, they have to learn communication skills. They're all in their phones. They're all, not looking at people. They're on a bus, they're on a train, they're in somewhere, but nobody's talking to anybody. Nobody's saying the thank yous. Nobody, it's just we got to bring the people part of it back. Again, we're lucky we're in this business. Hospitality is that kind, but it's still happening to us in airports, in hotels,
Okay.
so it
Yeah.
has evolved, I think, in a better way. We can do things more efficiently, but I do think that we need to stay and get back to basics on how to treat people. That's my thing, how to care for people.
Hi, friends. I hate the word newsletter. I'm sure you know that, right? But I do love to communicate with the audience. I love to share stories with all of you. So, over the next several months, I am going to be sharing a 5-minute read every so often in a anti-newsletter called the Mandy's Muse. If you want to hear stories about how one lady got a job without any experience, or about how to crash a circle at a networking event full of strangers, or how to manage your mornings, which will actually help you manage your life. These are just some of the quick reads I'm going to share about business and life. If this interests you at all, head over to mandygraziano.com and click Keep Up with Mandy, and you will be the first to get some of these awesome stories.
And then speaking of people, based on all the salespeople that you've worked with, that have worked for you, and that you have worked for, what have been the most common characteristics in terms of you say, okay, if you have these characteristics, you're going to be a successful salesperson?
One word that comes to my mind really quick is grit.
Mm.
You just have to have the grit. You have to know that you can do it no matter what. And I feel like the ones who are really successful are like, you know what? You're not going to beat me. You know, a little competitive, a little grit. Another one is the confidence. Mandy mentioned it before. It doesn't matter if you know it or not, have the confidence. I remember when I was in Dearborn, Michigan, we had it was a huge hotel, 800 rooms. I missed that hotel. It had all these parking spaces. And I was walking past the front desk. I'd just come from somewhere. I was walking past the front desk, and the bellman said, "Ask Melissa, she'll know." And I'm like, "What? Do y'all need something?" And they're like, "How many parking places do we have? We're having a bet." And I said, 1,321. And I just kept walking. And the guys are like, "See, I told you she'd know." And I turned around and I said, "I have no idea how many parking spaces, but you believe me because I just said it." And I think that's part of it too, that confidence with it. And the third thing, as much as I love the emotion, try to take out the emotion. Try to think of it as it's not going against you, no matter if you're on the hotel side or the client side or whoever side. Step back and think about it and then do it. I think we react. The ones that don't do it well, it's that quick to react, quick to send that email. Put that email, don't even put the to on there. Put it in your drafts, walk away from it, even send it to your best friend and say, "How does this sound?" And I guarantee you'll rewrite it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
those are
That's a
mine.
good lesson
That's
for
my
life
immediate.
too. That's a good lesson
Yeah.
for life too. If you're going to say something, maybe stop, maybe don't write it, maybe walk away a little
I
bit,
like that,
come back
Amani.
later. Yes. Yes. Mandy, back to you. Oh, before you do that, hello to Megan De Burrell. Hope I said your last name right.
Hi,
She's in the
Megan.
She's
chat too. So hello.
sweetie.
And if anybody
Thanks,
has
Meg.
any questions, pop those in for Melissa. Like, this is your moment. Like, ask the question. All the questions are good. It's funny you talk about the confidence. That reminded me of during COVID, I was volunteering at one of the vaccine stations, and I was just a volunteer. I had just showed up for my shift, and I was standing there, directing people to the line. If you had the card, you could do this or whatever. And one of the volunteers came up to me and said, "Can I take a bathroom break?" I'm like, "Absolutely." And I was like, "I'm not in charge of anything here, but like, I just must be pointing with confidence." And it is true. I had just showed up like 5 minutes ago, but like, if you
Mhm.
got just a little confidence, somebody's going to ask you for permission to go to the bathroom, right? Like, you
Exactly.
just got to do a little bit.
That's perfect.
I want to talk about client goals. So sometimes your client goals aren't in line with your company goals, right? Sometimes they're not always the same, and it can be kind of complicated. But you do this so well. In fact, you have won multiple awards for this. So, what's the secret to giving clients what they need while in tandem driving revenue for your company at the same time?
Oh, that's a hard one. It honestly is. It's a hard line to walk. I have been told that I work for my customer instead of working for my company, and
Same, same.
it is a fine line. But what I think it is it's trying to help both sides understand what they really need, right? And it's understanding how far can we push one way or the other with both. Um, I am an advocate for getting on a call. I hate 30 emails in a trail going back and forth. I think when you can talk it out, when you have more than 5 or 6 emails, let's get on the phone, let's talk to each other. You don't have to be face to face if you don't want, but the company is obviously paying my paycheck. They're the ones that I need to make sure that we're doing it right. But I think it's my responsibility as a seller to tell my customer that this group, if they went this week, to do this business, then we wouldn't be making money. But if they move to this week, this is the why. You have to give the people the why. I think
Mhm.
saying just because, and that's in all different facets. Like I don't ever want to say to anybody just because I said so.
Mm.
You know, I want to give the why because most of the clients I have worked with have been third parties, right? So those third parties have to go back to their customer and explain the why, but they have to be the seller for you to sell it. So you have to explain to them what it means in different areas of our company. A Park Hyatt's different from an all inclusive property that's different from a Regency. So you have to know that. And if you don't know it, the thing I tell people is it's okay to say, I don't know. Let me go find out for you. That's better than just because.
Yeah.
So there are ways to make those goals, but I think you have to educate both sides. And then you, Mandy, like if you and I were doing it, you would say, but Melissa, this is really like this is the most important thing that my customer needs. So then I would go back to the hotel or group of hotels and say, this is the most important thing. If you can't do it, what can you do?
Mhm.
Instead of that no, what's a potential solution? And so being a seller is kind of an advocate between those two roles, and then leading people is doing the same thing. Lots of times leading people, they'll just really tell you what they want to do, but they need somebody in a sounding board. So
Yeah.
most of the time, I would say 90% of the time, the seller's just needing me as a sounding board, and that's fine. But that's talking it out, like understanding what you're doing. Don't just tell them in a contract, it's because we said we have to do this. Then you go back to legal and you say, why do we have this verbiage? And then you tell them the why. It's not brain surgery.
It's like this, you're totally right. And it's like what you're saying here reminds me of two words. It's empowerment and advocacy, right? It's like
Mhm.
you're
Mhm.
constantly bouncing between empowering somebody to do something that is needed. And it's not what you need or what they need, but like just is needed, right? It's like taking that emotional side out of it
Mhm.
versus advocating, because there is a time to advocate for your company, there is a time to advocate for your customer, but it's like understanding when you're which lever of advocacy you're pulling at that time, right? I think that's what I'm
They
pulling
might have been
saying.
burned, like you said, like something that you would be asking, that hotel might have gotten burned by that before. But if
Mhm.
they can talk to you about what you mean by that, then they're like, okay, I get it. Because they only know one way. They know the way that they did get burned, but you're trying to do it a different way. There's a lot of solutions to the problems. It doesn't mean there's just one solution for every problem. Like there's a lot of different ones. It's just taking the time to talk through those. Truly.
Yeah. Yeah. You're a good leader of humans. Obviously, you've been doing this a long time. You're a great leader of humans. What do you wish more leaders would do when leading teams?
Um, One of the things I try to do, and I don't know if I do it fantastically well, but I really try, is I try to lift them up to whoever it is. If something goes well, I try to tell everybody above me what they've done. I try to sincerely say thank you for what they're doing. It takes a lot of work, but I really try to show them off. If a hotel does well and we get something from a customer, I will look at everybody's boss above that and put them on the email.
Mm.
Um, I really, really want to make sure that people get recognition. I think that pushes people. I think one of the things I do is I send thank you notes to customers when the people that are in my group send it to me and say, hey, Mandy just did this for us. Can you say thank you? Well, I do that for twofold. And it's kind of selfish, but I also want you're going to respond to my email when I say, thank you so much. Jennifer and Megan told me you did this, blah, blah, blah. And then what's great is you're going to send it back to me and you're going to tell me how much you love them,
Mhm.
probably because you worked with them. And that gives them motivation. And I always tell them, keep those in a little folder. And when you're having those bad days and when you're questioning if you're a good salesperson or whatever, go back to those and read those. Because it's really easy to just forget about that stuff and focus on the what's in front of you when you have some jerk of a person or whoever they're doing, and then you can go back to those and you can say, what, I'm not so bad. Not
Mhm.
everybody's not going to like you. That's the thing. you got to get over that first and foremost. And if you can get over that, then, but recognition is probably the biggest thing that I want to do for people. And it makes people work harder for you too.
Yeah. Smile file. Fill the smile file.
Yes,
Right.
I call it a praise
Yeah.
file.
Love
I love
that.
it. Yes. Shout out to Amanda Butts, who's in the chat. She's here
Aw.
talking to us, and shout out to Russell Edmond, who's on Facebook. My next question would be this: where we are currently with how the hotel business is going in 2026. We're taping this mid February. What is going well in terms of maybe like room nights, bookings, and what kind of scares you or worries you? Whatever you can share. I know there's some information we can't share, but whatever you can share, talk to us.
The good news is for the hotel side, lots is going well. We're still in a very strong market. I'm sorry, but we are. A lot of hotel chains and Hyatt, I can only speak for us, but we are growing to what the customers need. We're acquiring other companies for what the customers are asking us for. We are adding more luxury product because that's what the customers are wanting from us.
Yeah.
We are putting people and brands, we're more brand led now. The one thing that I think really helps us, and Mr. Hoplamazian is our CEO, and he is, I mean, talk about lead by example, leads by example. We are still small enough to be close to each other. We're a very small network, and that is why I work for the company I do. I will say that we are pushed very hard because our ownership groups who own our properties want to buy more of our properties because they want to expand. So that's one thing that for global sales, it's our responsibility to make sure that we take care of our owners. We're not only taking care of our guests and of our customers, but we're taking care of our employees in the buildings, and then we're taking care of our owners. We have very strong owner relationships in all different segments, and we focus on those areas so that we're not just taking care of employees, but not to our owners. We're putting in the buildings what our owners need from us. We haven't flipped yet. We haven't flipped that script yet. We recover well. I'll use Jamaica as an example. Jamaica was hit for a lot of people, and we were able to really lift that business and shift so that ownership group who owns the majority of our properties in Jamaica can make them good again and bring people back. We really are strong in certain destinations, but we pull people in. When we're down on one side, we open up that ability to give monetarily back to those people that are in those destinations. That's this industry. We find a way, and it's our resilience, like y'all were talking about before, and the grit to just get it done. But we also reward the customers that give us the most business, honestly. That's helping us because they're already loyal, and we want to make sure that we continue to take care of them. And so we have different levels of sales. So our global sellers are talking to our top customers. And then we have a national sales group that they take care of the ones that are just, hey, maybe I might go over to Hyatt. Maybe I might do this, but they're really good people who know our company. We have a lot of people that have worked for Hyatt that are now working for other companies. And that's fun. And it's great because they know us. They'll pull us back in. But you could walk into a room with the CEO of our company, a housekeeping manager, a line cook, and somebody in sales. And you would not know that they were different levels because they treat each other with respect. I don't care where you are. That is one of Hyatt's superpowers, is our people. And we all intertwine with each other. It's so much fun. So I would say that we're really strong right now, Amani, as a brand, as a chain. And not that the others aren't, but that's
Right.
why we're strong.
What's up, everybody? I want to tell you and encourage you to purchase my book, my award-winning USA Today best-selling book, The Quiet Storm: A Historical and Cultural Analysis of the Power, Passion, and Pain of R&B Groups. If you want to get one copy, you can go to Amazon, look up The Quiet Storm book, Amani, find it there. If you want to order multiple copies, then go to thequietstormbook.com, fill out the form, order the books. I'll send them to you. I love to share with you my love of R&B groups, the history from the 1950s to the mid 2000s, what happened to all the R&B groups, and what's going to happen next. Buy your book now. Thank you very much. See you soon.
I want to go back to something you just said, where you said we meet customers where they're at. Because I think something that has been evolving in the last 5 to 6 years is this Hyatt all inclusive collection.
Mhm.
I don't think a lot of people know that Hyatt's, I mean, obviously, I know Hyatt's have these great all inclusive properties, but what should people know about the all inclusive space that not enough people are talking about?
I think, well, we have the most all-inclusive properties in the world than any other brand, any other
I didn't know
chain.
that. Mhm.
Yeah, when we purchased ALG, that's what happened. Prior to that time, we have a really good relationship with Ziva Zalara, or the Playa part of it. And we went in with those brands who were really good at figuring out where to put business and how to maximize that. We went in to help with food and beverage and to make that all inclusive experience, not just like buffets all over the place, but to go in a restaurant and you've got the Parmesan cheese wheel and you're doing pasta within that, doing these little specialty things. So they had about 7, 8 properties at the time. So we started, those were our all inclusive properties. And there's a sales team, and we, along with our global sales and their sales, just rocked it. I mean, just did an amazing job. And then when ALG came on board, now you're adding the Secrets to the Dreams, the Zoetries, the Breathless, and those properties. And it just expanded, and 80 more new properties. Now, did we have to get to know each other? And are we still getting to know each other? Yes. But what's great is that it's a lot of people who know the same thing. A lot of those resorts are owned by families. And so it's going back to the owner conversation that Amani asked. Like, it is those owners that we want to take care of. And the leadership team on that side, led by Javier, and the leadership team with Mark Hoplamazian, I'm telling you, they are doing it. I'm just one of the worker bees. I just help, get that word out there. But it's all comes down to people, honestly. And the people in these properties, and the people are just lovely. And they might not have all the tools that they need, but every single day we're getting more and more tools for them, and we're only going up. So it's exciting. It's an exciting time in our portfolio for sure, because we want to be diverse. We don't want we know that Mandy has business, but we want to get all Mandy's business. So no matter if you need a Hyatt Place, Hyatt House, if you need a Park Hyatt, if you need to go overseas, like I need Jennifer and Megan to help you with that. And so that's why the diversity.
Melissa, I need it all, Melissa. I need it all.
I love it. Bring it.
But
Bring it.
I appreciate you saying you tackling food and beverage first, because I know a lot of my customers be like, I don't want an all inclusive because food and beverage is never good, which is an old trope, because I've worked
That's
with
right.
plenty of great all inclusives. But then I also have, especially some of my younger planner clients, that are like, all inclusives are good for me because they're easier to plan. So what do
Yeah.
you say to somebody that has a mindset about all inclusive? Like, how do you flip that for them?
When was the last time you were at one?
I
And
mean,
when can I get you to one?
yeah.
And those are the two things. Where can I show you? Because right now, and this has been going on for, 5 or 6 years, at least, very strongly, is that everybody thinks that they can be on Guy Fieri's Drive-Ins and Dives. Everybody thinks they can be in Tournament of Champions or on Chopped. Everybody's a foodie. The different dietary needs. That is one thing that being at an all-inclusive can kind of help, because the chefs there are covering all those dietary needs, right? Because they have to every time they put out plates of food. That's really hard for some banquets, because is it a like? Is it a hate? Is it a allergic to? Is it a dietary? I mean, the list that these event people go through with all the customers, food and beverage is tough. It's just tough. And I think they like it too because if you don't have to worry about if your customer wants Tito's or Kettle One, right? They can look at both. They can get both. They can order whatever they want. So I think that's one of the things that helps. And that's why a lot of our other resorts are also doing all-inclusive packages because they need that. You know, the customers' weddings are like that now. They're doing all-inclusive packages. So people are like one-stop shop. I'm not a planner. I want to do this. But I will say that those all-inclusive properties have not always had what they need to be successful. The numbers of people, they were very driven around individual travel. Now they've changed in the last few years into group. And so they're learning it too. So I ask for a little patience on their side, but I know we're working on it. I'm sure all the other brands are doing the same thing, but food and beverage is key. I don't care where you're going. I don't
Yeah.
care if you're going to go to Paris or you're going to go to Cancun. People want, just like Amani said, I can't go there. I can't find out what I want to eat. You know, everybody wants to eat what they want to eat. If it's a burger, it's a burger. If it's a, smoothie, it's a smoothie. So
Yeah.
we're just trying to work on that part of it.
Yeah. Love it.
We've come to the point in the show where we flip the script. So we let you ask both myself and Mandi any question you want. So who do you want to ask the question to first? And what is that question? Also, shout out to Janice Dyer, who says your hospitality expertise is unmatched. So, yeah.
Oh, thanks, Janice. It's good to hear from you. I'm going to start with Mandi, I think.
Okay.
You were talking about you doing your recipes in your new kitchen, which, by the way, I loved watching you on Instagram. I watched your transformation. Y'all should have your own show. But anyway, if you, Mandi, had to cook a meal for me, your favorite meal from whenever, what would it be and why? Like, why does that meal come up?
Okay. The first thing that comes to me is my root vegetable shepherd's pie. And
Yummy.
And only because I just feel like you would like a quirky meal like that, but it's
Yeah.
also a comfortable meal. And I feel like we could have some wine with it.
That's what I was going to say. We have wine, right?
Yeah. We have wine. It's
Okay.
like a great red wine meal. That
Love
was
it.
the
Oh,
first
you
thing.
know me.
That's the first thing. I make that in March. That's like my St. Patrick's Day kind of thing. And whenever I have like a girls' dinner, I always make like the root
Nice.
vegetable shepherd's pie. But I've added like some sides of like meat now to it for those that like want the meat. I want the meat, but not everybody does. But that's like the first thing that came, because I could just see us just with spoons
Oh,
in this
yeah.
casserole dish, having some
I would love
wine
it.
and giggling. And yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
would do.
I would
Yeah.
love that. I would love that.
Okay.
All right, Amani, I wrote down like 3 different things that I'm going to ask about, but I'm really going to ask about this one. Since you're the music guy,
Yes.
okay? My son and I have to dance to a mother-daughter dance in April because he's getting married. But I don't want it to be, we're going to do a little bit of like a dance.
Oh.
You know the one that's like celebrate, whatever. But what song, if you had to pick a song for a mother-son dance, would you pick?
Mm.
Good
So you could do old school, like you could do Sadie.
I like old school. Yep.
Sadie's a
Yep.
good one. You could do
That's a
Mama
good
by
one.
Boys to Men.
Oh, that's good.
Those are 2 that come to mind like right away.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of an even more current song, but those 2 are like,
I like both of those.
yeah. You
Okay.
could do a good dance to those. Like Sadie's old school, I forget the artist, but Mama Boys to Men. Those are two that come to mind right away.
Okay, I wrote both of them down. Thank you.
All right,
See, I
very
flipped it.
good.
Were those good enough questions for you guys?
Oh, those
That's
are plenty
awesome.
good. Yes, plenty
Good.
good. Yes, those are
Yeah.
very good.
Good.
Absolutely. What? Because we had a couple more minutes before you finish. What trends are you paying attention to in like the meetings and events industry?
Lead time.
Tell us about that.
It's
Yeah.
it's hard, it's hard. Budgets are getting approved a lot later. And so that turn time and trying to get those out, and then we don't have availability. It's so hard. Pharma market is so strong right now that they're taking up all that short-term business. So it's really hard if you get I wish I could just tell the corporate planners, I know your budget's not approved, but if it could be, get it done.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And then I think with bless you, and then whatever happened
Thank you.
with like COVID and stuff like that, I think it made people also like look further, like take care of stuff. So then we have those associations. That's one trend. Um, Trying to get that Canadian business to the US, really hard.
Yeah.
They want to bypass us very much so.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard because we've been on such an upswing for so long. We're setting quotas now, and it's really hard because when do we level? When is that? How much more can you get out of that? Those are our big ones right now, I would say. Because we're gonna grow for sure. We're not gonna grow to that level. We're really trying to make sure that what we have is new and fresh and looks good. And we've redone so many properties that needed it. And so it's a fine line to keep it within that level. And then, then you have to prove to your owners what you're doing. So creativity too. That's the other trend. How can we be creative? How can Hyatt stand out? Those are things we ask ourselves every single day.
Good. Shout out to Jennifer.
Create. Yep.
Jennifer Spicer in the chat here. Now,
Nice.
I want to take you back to right as you are getting ready to start your first shift ever at the Hyatt in San Antonio.
Okay.
What advice would you give your younger Melissa self back then based on everything you've learned so far in your career?
That's hard, Amani, because I wasn't very shy when it was what I wanted to do. The one thing that I almost went was rooms.
Okay.
I'm a weird salesperson. I'm super numbers driven. No, that's how my brain works. So I was going to go rooms. That's what I wanted to do. And I really, really liked the front office manager. And I wanted to learn from him. He was such a mentor. And he's the one who told me not to go rooms. He's like, you're going to go sales. At the time when I finally decided I was going sales, the convention service director told me I would never make it in sales. So I guess what I would tell that person, I know, but I guess what I would tell that person back then is one person is not necessarily who marks your path. If you feel it in your gut and you feel what you should be doing, do it. Because if I would have listened to her, and I was like, how do you know? Now, people like that kind of fuel me. So I'm a little different with that. But it makes me sad because there's a lot of leaders that tell people things and they believe them. And that is and it probably is how they were raised. It probably came from like somewhere else very deep. And that's a whole nother podcast. But I will say I was raised by two people who made me have confidence. My mom and my dad both just, you can do it. You can do it. Whether they believed it or not, they made me believe it. So, yeah.
Good. All right. Over to you, Mandy, to close us out.
Yeah, I have two final questions. As a sales leader, where do you believe AI fits in the sales process?
Oh, huge. I really do. Where I feel like it needs to be there more is when we have to deliver bad news. When we have to deliver bad news, I say put it in there because it's going to sound so much better than what you really think and feel. But I also think that people need to use it when it comes to creativity, when it comes to presentations, when it comes to shortening things and really giving our bullet points of what we need. The more and more you write in paragraph form, the less people are going to read it. So really get your points across, make it concise. But I think AI can really help that. The thing about AI is you have, in my opinion, please read what you put in there before you cut and paste and just put it in there, because sometimes it spits out things and that's not what I would have said.
Yeah.
But some people are just like cut, paste, gone.
Please read. I'm with you. I've been on the
Please read.
receiving end of word salad and AI word salad. And I have replied back, did you use AI to write this? Not as a form of shaming, but as a form of I'm trying to understand how salespeople are using in my own like sales coaching practice. And as somebody who works with salespeople, I'm like, I want to understand how people are using it. Are they using it as a cut and paste? Or are they using it as a guide? And then they use their own voice from there. Like I'm genuinely like curious. But yes, I'm with you. Just read it before you send it.
Read. Yeah,
And stop
for
using the
sure.
words unlock in your subject line because I know that that's AI for sure. You know,
For sure.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
yeah,
Right. But did you say you had one more question?
I do. So you've
Okay.
spent an hour. An hour has gone by so fast with us, Melissa.
So fast.
It's
Yeah.
so fast. So how can we lift you up? How can we support you? You've lifted us and supported us in this last hour. What can we do to personally lift and support you?
Oh, thank you. So much. I think you too, but everybody also listening on this podcast, I think we have to remember to lift each other up. I think we have to remember to take the time to just say you did a good job, to say the thank yous, to acknowledge people. Just do that. I know it sounds really simple, but just that pat on the back, just that you're good at what you do. And we don't do that enough for each other. We don't take that time. And you always think that somebody that's been in the industry for a long time doesn't need to know that, doesn't need to hear that. Everybody needs to hear that. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're, go out and hug your mom and dad if you still have them around and you're lucky enough. Go out and tell somebody that you were thinking about them today. What a nice surprise. And thank you. There's people on this call that I haven't heard from in so long, and it's so great to just hear, right? You just want to hear and be authentic to who, like for me, people that say, and I got from your email and LinkedIn and everything, I got some notes from people prior to this. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I can't wait. Those little notes to me meant the world. Because some people I hadn't talked to or seen for a long time. And it's not because you don't love them, and it's not that you don't care about them. It just out of sight, out of mind. And they maybe were just a little glimpse in your life. But how fun to just pop back into those people's lives, because they were real friends. You're going to catch right back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about somebody, there's a reason. Tell them you're thinking about them.
Love
Good.
that. Show up.
Awesome.
Love that.
Show
That's
up.
great.
Yep.
Shout out to Carolina Morales. I think she's from calling in or tuning in from Costa Rica. I want to say, right?
She's from Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Yep. She's wonderful.
Absolutely.
She's wonderful. She's a hard worker.
Diana Pagano. Hope I said your first name right. Thank you for tuning in. We just appreciate the time and expertise. We could spend another whole hour or two with you. So we definitely got to work on part 2. But
Thank you both.
Just round of applause and thank you. Make sure the contact information, if people are watching or listening, is on the screen there. We'll put it in the show notes. And just round of applause and thank you very much for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thanks, Melissa. This has been awesome. It's so great to have you.
Great to be here.
Yes. So we will put you back in the green room really quickly, close out the show. So just hold tight for us for one moment. And okay, Mandi, great episode there.
Yeah.
Who and what do we have to look forward to next week?
Millie Fox.
Okay.
Millie Vanilli Fox next week. Yeah. I don't know Millie. I'm excited to meet Millie. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll meet Millie. Thanks again to Melissa for joining us today and sharing us all things meetings, events, and Hyatt. And make sure that if you're watching, subscribe on YouTube. If you're listening, make sure to rate and review on the platform that you're watching or listening on. And with that, we will see everyone next week live, 1 p.m. West Coast, 4 p.m. on the East Coast for Adventures in Business Live.
Yes.
Take care,
Show
everyone.
up. Be kind. Bye.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in to Adventures in Business. Don't forget to rate and review our podcast on the platform that you're currently listening it on. And don't forget to share it with your friends and anybody that might be as much of the business nerds as Amani and I are. See you next time for another captivating interview.